It's Thursday, December 3rd, and this is now on H&N.
If we don't change our ways, this will not be the top of the curve.
U.S. coronavirus deaths topped 2,800 in a single day for the first time. We'll have the latest on the race to distribute a vaccine.
Compromise is within reach.
This as Congress rushes to strike another COVID stimulus deal.
We all hear the nightly aerial bombs going off.
Hundreds of pounds of illegal fireworks have been seized from a Makiki home.
Plus, Hanauma Bay reopens with new restrictions and higher fees.
In some ways, ideally, it'd be nice to keep the bay closed always and just leave it for nature.
These stories and more coming up on This Is Now.
Good afternoon. Thank you for watching This Is Now. Jonathan and Ashley here coming to you from the H&N Digital Center. We start with breaking news from the State Department of Health.
Health officials are reporting 2 more patients with COVID-19 have died, as well as 144 new infections today. The breakdown shows 8 cases are on the Big Island, 3 on Maui, 3 on Kauai, 18 on Maui, 11 out of state, and the rest on Oahu. We're told a significant number of the Oahu cases are from the Waiawa Correctional Facility. And COVID-19 infections, hospitalizations, and deaths are rising in the U.S. In the race for a COVID-19 vaccine, new details are out today on how and when a vaccine would be distributed. Stephanie Gosk has the latest.
With the British government set to distribute Pfizer's vaccine within the coming days, all eyes are on the FDA. Public pressure being dialed up on the agency to come forward with its own authorization. They say they are painstakingly going through every line of data from Pfizer before they grant this authorization. They will also hold a public hearing with a vaccine advisory board. The hope is that a transparent process will help bolster public confidence in the vaccine. Once that authorization comes through, HHS and the Department of Defense say they could have doses out within a matter of hours. Now, in the country, there are still questions about distribution and concerns, among them this issue of getting this Pfizer vaccine, which has to be stored in subarctic temperatures, to rural areas. I spoke with the CEO of a healthcare company in Kansas who says that state only has 10 facilities that can actually store the vaccine. He's worried that it's going to be difficult to get his healthcare workers vaccinated. He will have to take them off the job. And remember, it takes 2 doses to be vaccinated. They'll have to come off the job to get those vaccinations, and they are desperately needed. The other question is one of money here in New York. The governor, Andrew Cuomo, says that it's going to cost $1 billion to vaccinate the entire state. And so far, there's no federal assistance to make that happen. Stephanie Gosk, NBC News, New York.
Some members of Congress say they will not adjourn for the year without delivering some form of COVID relief. Here's what the president had to say about that and the election this morning at the White House.
Mr. President, Mitch McConnell says COVID relief may be in sight. Will you support this bill? Do you support the $900 billion?
And I think they're getting very close, and I want it to happen, and I believe that they're getting very close to a deal. Yeah.
And you'll support it?
I will, absolutely.
Yeah. Mr. President, can I ask you to respond to the comments by your Attorney General, who indicated he has not seen at this point any evidence of fraud enough to overturn the election results? Given that, why is now not the time to concede?
Well, he hasn't done anything, so he hasn't looked. When he looks, he'll see the kind of evidence that right now you're seeing in the Georgia Senate. You know, they're going through hearings right now in Georgia, and they're finding tremendous volumes, so they haven't looked very hard, which is a disappointment, to be honest with you, because it's massive fraud. Whether you go to Wisconsin, where we just filed a case, or Michigan, or if you look at what's happening in Georgia, as an example, or Pennsylvania, if you look at Nevada, which is moving along very rapidly, or Arizona, you saw those numbers come out yesterday, we found massive fraud, and in other states also. This is probably the most fraudulent election that anyone's ever seen.
Do you still have confidence in Bill Barr?
Ask me that in a number of weeks from now.
Now for more on the status of a coronavirus relief package, we spoke to Senator Mazie Hirono this morning on Sunrise.
So many people are relying on federal funding, especially through these COVID relief packages, and we haven't seen one in a while. And it looks like there's some hope with some bipartisan movement. Can you tell me a little bit more about this $900 billion COVID relief package that's on the table?
Yes, this bipartisan bill represents the first instance where the Republicans have actually negotiated on a bill, because the House passed a HEROES Act 6 months or so ago that provided $3 trillion of relief for people who are unemployed. It ran the gamut of support, but Mitch McConnell did not set foot, did not negotiate. So this current bill, this bipartisan bill, $908 billion bill, represents the first time that Republicans have come to the table. And I am hopeful that we can get 12 Republicans to support the bill as an emergency relief measure that takes us 3 or 4 months down the road, which means that we are going to still need to do a lot to get this pandemic under control and get our economy open. And I am expecting the Biden administration to hit the ground running to move us quickly in that direction.
Can you give us some details on how this could help people here in Hawaii?
Certainly. It has $300 in unemployment benefits. We would have liked more. We Democrats would have liked more, but that's a huge help for the 11 million people, not to mention the thousands in Hawaii who are unemployed. It will provide about $160 billion for state and local governments. They are facing huge shortfalls. It provides about $80 billion for education, and it provides billions of dollars for COVID testing, tracing. It has money for to keep the post office running. And so it has a lot of the kinds of support. Small business will get a substantial amount for PPP and EIDL that is specifically geared to support small businesses. But I view this as an emergency measure. And we are going to need to do a lot more because our economy is really in dire straits. We're going to need to do more.
The CDC is encouraging everyone to postpone travel and stay home during the Christmas season. It also recommends getting tested for COVID 1 to 3 days before travel and 3 to 5 days after, and to avoid non-essential activities for up to 10 days once you return home. Meanwhile, Delta Airlines has announced it will begin contact tracing international passengers coming into the United States. The company says passengers can voluntarily submit their name, address, email, and phone numbers to go directly to the Centers for Disease Control. Delta's move is a first by a U.S. carrier after the White House Coronavirus Task Force asked airlines to start contact tracing programs themselves rather than having the government handle it.
American Airlines says it's ready to be the first to fly the MAX again. Howard Dykes reports.
American Airlines took off first, flying its executives, employees, and reporters to show MAX airworthiness. They flew out of Tulsa, where American has big maintenance ops. MAX jets were grounded after crashes killed more than 300 people. That was lifted November 18. Before, Air Canada and WestJet had flown them, and Southwest intended to use them to Hawaii. Stephen Mnuchin backs another $20 billion in payroll aid to airlines. The Treasury Secretary spoke to a House hearing after Mitch McConnell said he opposed any freestanding COVID aid bills. American and United, of course, had furloughed 32,000 workers in October after Congress let the previous deal lapse. Mnuchin also backs aid to the motor coach industry. November brought 226,000 arrivals. That was almost double October, but it was still only 26% of last year. Kauai arrivals were down more than half, the other islands down 2/3. Just in last week's U.S. new jobless claims, 712,000 nationwide, seasonally adjusted, a small decline. America lost 22 million jobs to COVID and has so far regained 12 million of them. The remaining 10 million job loss is worse than any recession. A new bandwidth agreement between the newest fiber networks landing here in Hawaii. Hawaiian Telcom is part owner of the Southeast Asia United States cable, running from Jakarta and Manila through Guam and Hawaii to LA. Even newer, the Hawaii cable linking the West Coast with Sydney with landings at Hawaii and Samoa. The bandwidth deal expands its reach and secures Hawaii connectivity to the world internet.
A major bust in Makiki leads to the discovery of hundreds of pounds of illegal fireworks and the arrest of 2 people. Chelsea Davis has more.
HPD admits it's rare to get a big bust like this, but with the help of a new law and a new way of tracking complaints, police hope it'll deter criminals from launching illegal fireworks this year.
And I seen 2 blue and whites across the street. They both had 1 individual in each car.
Honolulu police were called to this home in Makiki for an argument around 5 Tuesday evening, but then stumbled upon something else.
The officers responded to the scene in Makiki. They found the 2 individuals that were arguing, but while they were there, they saw a launch tube, and aerial firework.
Through further investigation, officers eventually discovered more than 400 pounds of illegal fireworks. 37-year-old Sherry Shimizu and 35-year-old Alan Badua were arrested. Shimizu has prior convictions for identity theft and forgery. Badua was arrested in 2018 for possession and use of aerial fireworks, but charges were dropped.
It's just a very difficult case to prove.
Deputy Chief John McCarthy says it's been difficult to prosecute these people in the past because witnesses have to be willing to come forward. A new law passed last year holds the homeowner and renter accountable if fireworks are lit or launched from their property illegally.
They trigger seizures that are life-threatening in dogs. Animals run through the streets, get hit by cars, or are never found.
Tammy Ellis says she believes their family pet Colton suffered from a heart attack this weekend because of the non-stop fireworks in Ewa Beach. Oahu SPCA and HPD wants this to be a reminder that illegal fireworks are not only a nuisance, but can be dangerous.
That's pretty dangerous to have that in a unsecured storage area. Yeah, because it could go up at any time. It's unstable.
Both Shimizu and Badua have been released pending further investigation. Chelsea Davis, Hawaii News Now.
The pandemic has some people canceling their plans for the upcoming Olympics. Tokyo 2020 announces roughly 18% of tickets for the event are being refunded. The organization says it plans to eventually resell those tickets. The Olympics are scheduled to start July 23rd.
Back on Oahu, homes at Koa Ridge are now available. The Waipiu project will feature 3,500 homes over the next several years. Billy V has a look.
Thank you very much from Central Oahu here. We're at Koa Ridge. As a matter of fact, we're talking a story with Garrett Matsunami, who's the Vice President of Residential Development. Garrett, good morning.
Good morning.
Let's go ahead and talk about the development. How big is Koa Ridge?
Koa Ridge is about 576 acres with about 3,500 homes planned at Koa Ridge.
Nice. When did this start? When did you start the planning for this?
Planning started over 20 years ago.
It must have been really a great feeling to have your first resident move in November of this year.
It was a really good feeling. We've been waiting for a long time, and obviously the public's been waiting for a long time as well.
Now, also, as we're taking a look here at the overall and the construction that continues to go on, there were talks about retail space, elementary school, even Waiawa General Hospital moving into the space. Is that still happening?
Yeah, all of that is still happening. We're excited for that to happen as part of our master plan community.
And then let's talk about the affordable homes. What kind of prices are we looking at?
It's starting in the low 400s for affordable homes, and that's going to start coming out in February. We're going for sale for that.
How many of them are going to be affordable?
The first affordable project will have 140. Total for the project would probably be over 1,000 affordable homes here.
Wow, that's amazing, and we need that so badly.
Yeah, definitely.
Regarding traffic, of course, that's a lot of homes and a lot of people on the move here. Tell us about what you're doing about the traffic coming up.
Well, as people have seen along Kauka Boulevard, where Costco is in Waipiu, and along Kamehameha Highway in the same area, we've been doing a lot of improvements there. We're widening the road at Kauka Boulevard, all to help traffic in this area.
We talked about affordable housing, so it goes from the 400s what is the top range of houses for Coral Ridge?
Well, right behind us along this road here is starts in the low 900s. It could go up to $1 million depending on these options that these buyers are selecting.
All right, so once again, it continues. And how long do you expect this construction to go on?
It's going to go on for 10 years. 10 years of over 400. We might expect even 1,000 workers to keep them busy over the next 10 years.
All right, so once again, residents, about 10 of them, would you say, have already moved in?
So far, yeah.
Okay, so they're starting to move in here. It's as more completions happen, more will move in, and some will make Coral Ridge their home. From Central Oahu, I'm Billy V for This Is Now.
Thanks, Billy, for that update. Hey, Ashley, want to see something super cool?
Always.
Yep, here we go. Check out this live picture of Waimea Bay. The surf has been up for a while now, and no better person to check in to get an update on those conditions than our very own Mr. Hoggy.
How's it on this Thursday? We have really nice weather on the way. Similar to yesterday, although we're expecting the trade winds to pick up just a little bit today. Stronger trade winds due by tomorrow. We're also getting a few windward and mucka splashes this morning, but really mostly dry conditions. And you can see early this morning, the wind's still soft and scrambled. A more predominant northeasterly breeze is expected later today. And the big waves from yesterday slowly backing down, but surf alerts are still posted. So those trade winds running 5 to 15 today. High temperatures still on the low side, mid to lower 80s with lots of sunshine. UV index still high at 6. Now, as far as the surf, remember, high surf warnings are still posted for the better part of the state, most northwest shores from Maui to Kauai, and waves running still upwards of 25 feet. But remember, the swell is dropping, so smaller but still dangerous for west shores for Kauai and Oahu as well. More significant swells coming in Saturday and again Sunday night. And the weather's going to be changing too. Light trade winds today, basically dry conditions, although we are expecting a few minor splashes. A few more windward and mucka showers are due tomorrow when those trade winds step up, drying again for the weekend as the winds back off. Keep it here on Hawaii News Now. We'll have all your severe weather updates.
After months of being closed, Hanauma Bay is back open with new rules and a cap on how many visitors are allowed every day. Ben Gutierrez has more.
COVID has been difficult for everybody around the world, but environmentally it's been the best thing for Hanauma Bay in probably 100 years.
The first thing you may notice when you visit Hanauma Bay now is how clear the water is. Park officials say 9 months without people has allowed the coral reef to recover. More fish have returned, and you can see down to the bottom. Compare it to what it looked like just 3 or 4 years ago.
The water clarity is 64% clearer than it ever was on any Tuesday when it was closed to the public. For the first time in over 40 years, there's no sunscreen haze from chemical sunscreens on the water.
Up to 3,000 people a day were being allowed to visit the nature preserve 6 days a week. The city has reopened the bay but is only allowing a total of 720 people daily. The hours have been reduced. People can enter the park between 8 a.m. and 2 p.m. and must leave by 4 p.m.
In some ways, ideally, it'd be nice to keep the bay closed always and just leave it for nature. But limited numbers of people coming down learn more about Hawaii and about this special place.
We're emphasizing as people come in that this place has had a rest and that they do have a special responsibility to take care of it when they return to Hanauma Bay.
The city has also increased the admission fee to $12 per person. It will still be free for Hawaii residents, those aged 12 and under, and active duty military. Also, there will be no commercial activity allowed, including taxis, shuttles, snorkeling, or scuba tours, all in an effort to keep the bay this way.
We hope to see the ban of use of all chemical sunscreens in the near future. But Hanauma Bay today is what it should be. It's probably been the most pristine in many, many years.
Ben Gutierrez, Hawaii News Now.
Those drone shots were just beautiful. Peter Tang, drone photographer here at H&N, doing a good job. Let's see what else the internet is talking about right now. You know, Budweiser is doing its best to help you ring in the holidays with these limited editions 2020 holiday cans. They've been doing this for a long time. The designs include the Budweiser Clydesdales and also feature a Budweiser Dalmatian, which I guess has always been a thing that I didn't know about, or at least for a while. Yeah. Where's the Budweiser cat? Hey, guys.
Sorry, John. Only Clydesdales and dogs here.
Yeah. What you got, Ashley?
So you guys know Marugame Udon. They have the really affordable and delicious udon. They have a shop in Waikiki and one in downtown that's temporarily closed right now. Well, anyway, they are offering some holiday cheer of their own with some stocking stuffers for this month. So starting now through the end of December, customers who buy $25 gift cards will receive a bounce back coupon for a free bowl of udon.
Yes.
And any customers who wear an ugly sweater to any of their locations on Sunday, December 20th, which is apparently National Ugly Sweater Day, will receive a buy one, get one deal on their purchase that day.
Ugly Sweater Day.
I know.
I love that place.
And just because we love talking about food and booze so much, Milano Cookies also has a limited edition holiday flavor. It's the Amaretto Hot Cocoa flavored Milano featuring rich dark chocolate and almond flavors. And apparently there's also a limited edition candy cane Milano.
I love those cookies.
Me too. So
Best
nostalgic.
best dunking cookies too with your milk, right? Yeah. You know, the pandemic definitely has so many families changing the way they're celebrating this year, and the royal family in the UK is no exception. We got Kelly Copiea telling us how they'll be celebrating.
The royal walk to church at the Queen's country home, Sandringham. It's as much a part of Christmas in England as presents under the tree. But this year, Buckingham Palace says Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip, who are 94 and 99, will skip the fanfare, celebrating quietly in Windsor Castle for the first time in more than 3 decades. The church service canceled, so royal fans don't gather.
The royal family used to spend Christmas at Windsor up until about 37 years ago when they switched to Sandringham. So it's going to be very familiar territory. She's going to feel cosy and Christmassy, even though she's not up in Norfolk.
And as I found out on a visit to the castle in 2018, the royal sisters were the stars of family plays and Christmas cards.
So that's the Queen.
That's the Queen.
At age 13, and her little sister.
The last royal Windsor Christmas was in the 80s, the era of Ronald Reagan, Margaret Thatcher, and shoulder pads. Flash forward to Christmas present and a whole new way of meeting up. The Queen this week getting used to video calls with the help of some coaching from daughter Princess Anne.
Good morning. I'm very glad to have been able to join you. Can you see everybody?
Now preparing for a virtual Christmas with family.
It's hard to imagine the royal family holding charades on Zoom, though, isn't it?
It is hard to imagine the royals doing charades on Zoom. This was very much an attempt by the Queen to kind of lead from the top and say, look, we know it's not going to be a normal Christmas.
The Queen and Prince Philip will get a visit from Prince Charles and Camilla at some point over the holidays, but for the rest of the children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren, it's going to be a virtual Christmas. Kelly Copiea, NBC News, London.
That Queen Zoom call was the most adorable thing I saw all week. And what do I have to do to get a Zoom call from the Queen?
You guys should have seen how giddy Jonathan was during that story.
It was heartwarming. She's adorable. Cool. We got one more story.
We do.
Yeah.
So Britney Spears just released a new single, sort of. The song called Swimming in the Stars was released yesterday on her 39th birthday, but the song was actually recorded for her 2016 album called Glory, but the single didn't make the cut then. The pop star hasn't released any new material since then, aside from another song called Mood Ring a few months ago. One reason Spears has been so quiet is she's in a bitter legal dispute with her father, who says she's not mentally stable enough to manage her own life.
In the pandemic, we've seen a couple celebrity stars releasing old stuff. Remember we did a story a while back about Mariah releasing a new music video that had been lost in the archives for a while.
Why not?
Yeah, why not? I love that stuff. Go, Britney. Do your thing. You guys, that's going to do it for This Is Now. I hope you have an amazing Thursday. Ashley's going to be back here with you at 1st at 4 right here on KHNL. And always reminding you that we have a podcast here at This Is Now, so be sure to check it out. Big news about a special program coming up tomorrow on HNN you'll want to watch.